Trula Mafia and it comes to straight dropping those cats, they ended up catching the bad end of all this.
Bruh.
Yeah, they might have taken out Dolph, and Dolph lost his life, rest in peace, you know what I'm saying? Legend, right? But man, their story didn't end any better. You know what I mean? Especially when you're looking at the case. So I've been talking about a guy and bringing him up a couple of times in this situation. And it seems like he was basically the person who put the battery in Straight Drop's back, you know? Straight Drop before this, it seemed like he didn't even have that much of a connection with Hernandez Govan. Well, he had a connection. He's kind of like the old head in the hood for them. That's what I got from all this. Hernandez Govan is like the old cat in the hood with the stories, and he's the pill man, so he's serving people. He knows Cornelius Smith because Hernandez Govan is the pill guy. He's serving Cornelius Smith for his drug problem. Because like I said earlier, at that time, Cornelius Smith, who was the shooter with the AK-47 and the guy who ended up turning snitch in this whole trial, he has a real bad drug problem. Like he's dusty, dingy, horrible, nothing you want to be, you know what I'm saying? So he's like the total opposite of Justin Johnson and them. Their whole motivation, CEO Teezy and them, is to elevate in the rap game. Like their whole thing is they want to elevate in the rap game. Cornelius Smith is a dope fiend. And one thing people know about being in the streets is you don't trust a dope fiend for nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
Like what in the world? I'm not gonna, like who would hire that dude to do anything when you know he's dependent? Hernandez Govan, you serving him. You know you serving him. So why in the world are you trusting somebody that you know is addicted to what you're selling to carry out something like this of this magnitude and expect everything not to come crashing down and expect him to go to trial or go into into jail, sober up and not realize what he's done and say, hey man, oh, y'all ain't pay me my money? And that's the big part about it. They never even paid these cats. So he had every incentive to say, forget this, I'm about to snitch. I'm telling, you know what I'm saying? And I don't promote those activities, snitching and all that, but I kind of see the reasoning behind it, you know what I'm saying? So this guy, CEO Teezy, his whole Teezy, I want to say, I keep on calling him Teezy, but it's Teezy. So Teezy, his whole motivation in this situation is a little different, man. He's motivated about elevating Trula Mafia and his people in the rap game. And he thinks he can do this in any way. At first, they kind of gravitate towards Dolph and PRE in them. Then, in a snake move, once the bounty is out and all these shootings before the shootings are carried out, once the bounty is put in the streets on PRE, they immediately switch up because they want to elevate and rap, you know what I mean? So this guy isn't as innocent as we thought when he lost his life. You know, when he lost his life, it was a tragedy, don't get me wrong. Senseless violence is a tragedy regardless. But CEO Teezy wasn't really that innocent in this situation, man. And we'll get to a little bit of that here in a second. And actually, man, let's get to that, man. So let's get to where he basically was plotting by playing the double side. Like he'd find out about Young Dolph having studio time booked and try to set up the shootings there. And Young Dolph, you know, he's a major artist, so he's booking a studio.
The Jook on July 31st, but here they're saying, call Jook, we're about to go.
My bad, I brought that in a little early. So he's setting up studio time for like a year, like a full year or whatever, you know what I mean? So this is an example of that.
Shoot somebody, possibly Dolph, on July 9th.
July 27th, but actually Teezy.
Now remember, Dolph lost his life November 17th, 2021, right? This is all happening in July. The shooting with Paper Route Woo in July. A lot of the planning for the other shootings that took place in July. So this is almost all year long. You know, this is like 4 months earlier. They're already planning, trying to get Dolph taken out.
The text messages aren't in there, but if you have Teezy's text messages, you'll see that Teezy is the one that made the introduction to Mims, because Teezy has a text with Mims saying that I got this rapper. His name is Straight Drop.
And Straight Drop isn't even that good of a rapper, bruh. Like they thought that they could propel Straight Drop to the top of rap and use this as a crutch is wild to me, man. But you can see CEO Teezy, he was the one who put it out there. Like, yo, I got a rapper. his name is Straight Drop. Y'all help me get him out here, and we could do this work in the street for y'all.
And you need to meet him.
So you remember that specifically now?
I remember that text. That it was probably in Anthony Mims' cellular devices, where I would think you could look, but there's an actual introduction.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Anthony Mims is Big Jook. Big Jook was talking directly several times with Straight Drop, talking directly several times with CEO Teezy to try to get these things carried out. You know what I mean? According to what's been said in the court, right?
There.
Okay.
Because...
Yeah, all right. So that's one part where they talk about that, and I'll play that again for y'all so you can get the gist of what's being said here.
The Jook on July 31st, but here they're saying, call Jook, we're about to go shoot somebody, possibly Dolph, on July 9th.
July 27th, but
On July 27th, they already said, hey, let Jook know we're about to go get Dolph right now.
actually Teezy, the text messages aren't in there, but if you have Teezy's text messages, you'll see that Teezy is the one that made the introduction to Mims, because Teezy has a text with Mims.
Like I said, CEO Teezy, he was the one who was pushing this. He was the one trying to get everything done because he knew that Justin Johnson, Straight Drop, was a wild card. He would do something in the streets because he had no other options, you know what I'm saying, to try to make it in the rap, and he was that thirsty. And he thought he could use that as a way to bring the rest of Trula Mafia and them up through the rap game as their own entity. Because at the time, PRE had their thing going on and CMG had their thing going on, but there was other little subsets and groups who were trying to build their movement, and they thought this was, and CEO Teezy thought this was his way.
Saying that I got this rapper, his name is Straight Drop, and you need to meet him.
So you remember that specifically now?
I remember that text. That it was probably in Anthony Mims' cellular devices, where I was.
Yeah, so they took that text from CEO Teezy to Big Jook, aka Anthony Mims, out of his phone.
I think you could look, but there's an actual introduction there.
Okay.
Because.
All right, so y'all probably see where this all started to play a part, because this was around July 21st, I think they said, where they were already trying to get Dolph, man. Like they had already, CEO Teezy had already let it be known, hey, this is Justin Johnson. I got an artist. He's interested in doing all this. You know, you guys looking at, we know about the bounty. This is our way. You know what I'm saying? He thought this was going to make their way.
Coochie as we go. All right, so the first text is from Teezy to Justin Johnson, is that right?
Correct.
Teezy, somebody you guys investigated, right?
Yeah, Josh.
Once again, CEO Teezy, you know what I
Taylor,
mean?
Joshua Taylor.
Okay. Didn't charge him with anything.
He's deceased.
Okay, but prior to being deceased, you didn't charge him with anything.
So basically, he's letting them know, like, hey, we didn't charge CEO Teezy in this situation because he's dead. Much like in Chicago, Memphis has that same situation where a lot of the people who are active in the streets and in their rap scene or in the street scene with Memphis, you know, it's just a lot of those people lose their life in the process of them trying to solve these crimes. So he's letting them know, the lead investigator is letting them know that, yeah, he wasn't charged, but, you know, he's deceased. And they probably got an idea who did it or who was responsible. That they just can't prove it at this time. You know what I mean?
Correct.
All right, go to the next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, scooch down. And so this is Justin Johnson. Can you all even remotely see this? No.
They'll get it during deliberation.
Now, once again, this is all information they took out of their phones.
So on July 9th of 2021.
All right, so let's continue that. All right.
They'll get it during deliberation.
So on July 9th of 2021, Justin Johnson tells Teezy, okay, we need to spin on street, excess ham, said Duke for show, pulled up on Dolph now.
Now, okay, they want them to go and carry out a hit. So this is basically on the 9th of July, and Teezy had reached out and said that they wanted him to pull up on Dolph.
You see that? All right. We've already established Ham was somebody that Justin Johnson was communicating with because you had it on one of your slides, right?
Correct.
I didn't get a mugshot of him, and that was what was shown on the slide. That's his photo.
Correct.
Okay. And then Duke, you know that's stupid Duke on the streets, right?
I don't know. There are a lot of Dukes.
Okay.
And at that time,
And this is what one thing about the lead investigator that they brought, or the guy Brownie, I think Sergeant Brownie was his name. There was too much going on almost for him to keep track of. He was like, now which Duke? Like it was so many, and names are familiar or similar in the streets. I can only imagine on the West Coast where you have a little, a big, a tiny, you got all that. So names can get confused. But that struck me wild when I was watching this yesterday too.
I think Duke might have been stupid Duke. The one you're referencing might have been in custody at that time. I'm not.
Okay.
But there's multiple Dukes that are in that world that they're in.
Sure.
So I'm not sure who he's referencing.
And
Because there's a Duke.
Yeah, so they had found out, CEO Teezy and these guys had found out that Dolph had booked a studio for the rest of the year. So he had a studio booked for the rest of the year. And they were planning with this guy named Duke and using another guy named Ham. And they found this all through court records. And he went on like a hour-long slideshow presentation where he broke down how Trula Mafia CEO Teezy was pretty much, I mean, they're saying Hernandez Govan was the mastermind and orchestrator. He was definitely the manager. So if there's a superintendent or a district manager in a situation is Hernandez Govan, then I guess the person above that would be Big Jook, and the manager below that would be CEO Teezy on the street level, because he basically put Justin Johnson into this situation, offered him up as a person who could probably get all this done, offered him up as a person who was looking for a potential, looking out for himself in the record industry, and really was at the heart of carrying out this shooting and this hit on Young Dolph, which is wild. Now, some might say, bruh, that's why he's no longer with us here today. I mean, I know the court, it has a way of phrasing this in a narrative to where everybody on PRE kind of looks like a victim in this situation. But obviously, when they ran down on Paper Route Wu, we don't know what happened after that, what took place in the streets, except for some of the things that they have in the cell phone data, right? That's coming out every day, even more and more. And that's the interesting part of these cases, because I know these cases can be long and drawn out. I just like to look for those situations where we get some answers about what was really going on behind the curtain or in the streets outside of those people who were really in the streets at that time. And one thing for sure was pointed out in the case yesterday was that CEO Teezy was not innocent in this situation. He wasn't an innocent bystander, or he wasn't innocent when he lost his life, even though I'm not saying it was a good thing, but he definitely was actively orchestrating the shooting death of Young Dolph and other PRE members, man. So it's wild to see, bro.